you will reclaim your focus and freedom. A Stoic path beyond compulsive masturbation. Welcome. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that for many is shrouded in silence, perhaps even shame, yet it's a struggle more common than you might imagine. We're talking about compulsive masturbation and the feeling of being trapped by an urge that seems to control you, rather than you controlling it. If you're here, it's likely because you're seeking a change, a way to reclaim your time, your energy, your focus, and ultimately your inner peace. And I want to assure you that change is entirely possible. Understanding the landscape, natural versus compulsive. Let's first acknowledge a fundamental truth. Masturbation, in itself, is a natural biological function. Modern science and medicine recognize this. It's a part of human sexuality, and in many contexts can be a healthy expression. Our aim today is not to demonize a natural act, but to address a specific pattern: compulsive behavior. What's the difference? Natural expression is usually moderate, non-disruptive, and doesn't lead to negative life consequences. Compulsion, on the other hand, is characterized by an inability to resist the urge even when you want to, spending excessive time engaging in or thinking about the act, continuing the behavior despite negative consequences like neglecting responsibilities, experiencing guilt, shame, or impacting relationships, using it as a primary coping mechanism for stress, anxiety, or boredom rather than addressing the root causes, feeling a loss of control as if you're on autopilot. Historically, societal views on masturbation have swung wildly from moral condemnation and medical myths linking it to diseases to the current understanding of its naturalness. But our focus isn't on societal judgment, it's on your personal experience and whether this behavior is serving you or hindering you from living the life you truly desire. If it's the latter, then this discussion is for you. We're going to explore the trap that this behavior can become, not through a lens of shame, but one of understanding and empowerment. The neurochemical loop, why it's so hard to stop. To understand why compulsive masturbation can be so difficult to overcome, we need to look at what's happening in our brains. The key player here is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is often called the feel-good chemical, but it's more accurately described as the motivation or reward-seeking chemical. When you engage in an activity that your brain perceives as rewarding, and sexual stimulation leading to orgasm is a powerful one, dopamine is released. This creates a pleasurable sensation and, crucially, reinforces the behavior, making you want to do it again. This is the brain's natural reward system designed to motivate us to repeat actions essential for survival and procreation. Now, here's where the trap begins to form. In our modern world, especially with the easy access to highly stimulating content online, if pornography is part of the cycle for you, this reward system can be hijacked. Each time you engage in compulsive masturbation, particularly if it's linked to novel or intense stimuli, you get a significant dopamine hit. Your brain begins to associate this act with intense pleasure and relief. Over time, a few things happen. Tolerance: your brain starts to adapt to these high levels of dopamine. The dopamine receptors can become less sensitive, meaning you need more of the stimulus or more intense stimulus to achieve the same feeling of pleasure or relief you once did. This is why someone might find themselves escalating the frequency or intensity of the behavior. Cue-induced craving: your brain becomes highly attuned to triggers. These can be internal, stress, boredom, loneliness, sadness, or external certain times of day, specific locations, a notification on your phone. These cues can activate the dopamine system even before you engage in the act, creating a powerful craving. The compulsion loop: a trigger leads to a craving, which leads to the behavior, masturbation, which provides temporary relief or pleasure, dopamine release, which reinforces the behavior, making the next trigger even harder to resist. This becomes an ingrained neurological pathway. Anhedonia: reduced pleasure in other activities. When the brain is constantly seeking these intense dopamine spikes, everyday activities that provide more subtle, natural pleasures, like hobbies, social interaction, or learning, can start to feel dull or unrewarding by comparison. This can further isolate you and make the compulsive behavior seem like the only source of significant pleasure. Recognizing this neurochemical basis is vital. It's not simply a lack of willpower. You're often contending with deeply conditioned neurological pathways. But the good news is, brains are adaptable. Neuroplasticity means these pathways can be rewired. The psychological and emotional fallout. Beyond the neurochemistry, compulsive masturbation often carries a heavy psychological and emotional burden. Many individuals report experiencing guilt and shame, feeling bad about the inability to control the behavior, or feeling that it goes against personal or moral values. Anxiety and depression. The cycle can exacerbate or even contribute to feelings of anxiety and depression, especially if it leads to social withdrawal or a sense of hopelessness. Low self-esteem. Constantly feeling defeated by an urge can erode self-worth and confidence. Brain fog and lack of focus. The mental energy consumed by thinking about, engaging in, or recovering from the behavior can significantly impact concentration, productivity, and mental clarity. Procrastination and avoidance. Using masturbation as a way to escape difficult emotions or tasks means those underlying issues remain unaddressed and often worsen. Impact on relationships. If the behavior leads to withdrawal, deception, or diminished interest in genuine intimacy with a partner, it can strain or damage relationships. These are not insignificant consequences. They affect your quality of life, your ability to pursue your goals, and your overall sense of well-being. Understanding these impacts can be a powerful motivator for change, a philosophy for inner strength and self-mastery. So, how do we begin to dismantle this cycle? This is where the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers profound and practical wisdom. Stoicism, founded in Athens in the early 3rd century BC by Zeno of Citium, and later championed by figures like Epictetus, a former slave, Seneca, a statesman and playwright, and Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, is not about suppressing emotions or living a joyless life. At its core, Stoicism is a practical philosophy for cultivating inner resilience, wisdom, and tranquility, ataraxia, by focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. Let's look at some core Stoic principles that are directly applicable to overcoming compulsive behaviors. The dichotomy of control. This is perhaps the most fundamental Stoic principle. Epictetus taught that some things are within our control and others are not. Within our control, our thoughts, judgments, desires, aversions, and our actions are voluntary choices. Not within our control, External events, other people's actions, our bodies in terms of illness or aging, our reputation, and crucially, the initial arising of an urge or craving. The urge to masturbate might arise. That initial feeling is often outside your immediate control. But your response to that urge, how you interpret it, whether you act on it, that is within your control. This distinction is incredibly empowering. It shifts the focus from trying to eliminate urges, which can be frustratingly difficult, to managing our response to them. Virtue as the sole good. Stoics believed that the only true good is virtue, which encompasses wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, self-control. External things like pleasure, health, wealth, or reputation are considered indifference. They are not inherently good or bad. Pleasure, for example, is a preferred indifferent, nice to have if it doesn't compromise your virtue, but not something to be pursued at the expense of your character or rational judgment. Compulsive behavior, by definition, involves a loss of temperance and rational judgment. Living in accordance with nature, reason for Stoics. Nature includes the natural order of the cosmos and, importantly, our own human nature as rational beings. To live according to nature means to live according to reason, to use our capacity for logical thought to guide our actions and make choices that align with virtue. Compulsive actions are often irrational, driven by immediate gratification rather than long-term well-being. The role of impressions and judgments. Stoics emphasize that it's not external events or internal urges themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. An urge arises. If your judgment is, "This is unbearable, I must act on it to get relief," then you will likely act. If your judgment is, "This is an uncomfortable sensation, a conditioned craving, but it will pass," and acting on it will ultimately lead to more distress, you create space to choose a different response. Apathy, a freedom from disturbing passions. This doesn't mean apathy in the modern sense. It means a state of tranquility free from overwhelming, irrational, and disturbing emotions or passions. Path. By understanding our urges and not being ruled by them, we move towards the state of inner calm and clarity. Stoicism provides a robust framework for understanding ourselves and developing the inner fortitude to navigate challenges like compulsive behavior. It's about training the mind. Practical Stoic techniques for reclaiming control. Stoicism is not just theory, it's intensely practical. Here are several Stoic-inspired techniques you can begin to apply. Mindful observation of urges. Prosoc, attention. When an urge arises, don't immediately react. Pause. Become an observer of the urge. Notice the physical sensations, the thoughts that accompany it. Remind yourself, this is an impression, a craving, a pattern of thought. It is not me, and I do not have to obey it. Epictetus advised us to bear and forbear, endure the discomfort without acting. This creates a crucial gap between stimulus and response. Challenge your judgments. When the urge feels overwhelming, question the thoughts fueling it. I need this to relax. Is that true? Or are there other, healthier ways to relax? What are the long-term costs of this form of relaxation? I can't stand this feeling. Can you? For how long? What happens if you simply sit with it for 5 minutes? Often, urges peak and then subside if not fed. This is about rationally examining and disputing the automatic thoughts that drive the compulsion. Negative visualization. Premeditatio malorum, adapted. While traditional premeditatio malorum involves contemplating external misfortunes, we can adapt it. Regularly and calmly reflect on the negative consequences of giving in to the compulsive behavior, the lost time, the brain fog, the guilt, the disconnect from your goals. Contrast this with the positive outcomes of resisting: increased self-respect, clarity, energy, and progress towards what truly matters to you. This isn't about scaring yourself, but about reinforcing your rational motivation for change. The evening review, a practice of Seneca. At the end of each day, review your actions and choices. Where did I go wrong today regarding this pattern? E.g., I gave in when I felt stressed. What did I do well? E.g., I noticed an urge and used a breathing technique instead. What can I learn from this? What will I strive to do differently tomorrow? This practice cultivates self-awareness and continuous improvement. Keep a journal for this. Set clear intentions, hegemoniken, the ruling faculty. Define what is truly important to you, your values, your goals. Write them down. When an urge arises, ask, will acting on this urge move me closer to or further away from what I truly value? Align your actions with your ruling faculty, your capacity for reason and deliberate choice. You might intend, for example, today I will respond to feelings of boredom by reading a chapter of a book, not by seeking fleeting digital pleasure. Amor fati, love your fate, adapted for inner struggles. This doesn't mean loving the compulsion itself. It means accepting the challenge that this struggle presents as an opportunity for growth. See it as a training ground for developing courage, temperance, and resilience. Every urge resisted is a victory for your rational mind. Find virtuous distractions and alternative fulfillments. When an urge hits, have a pre-planned list of constructive activities to turn to. This isn't just about distraction, it's about redirecting your energy towards things that align with virtue and provide a more sustainable sense of satisfaction or purpose. Examples: physical exercise, a walk, push-ups. Engaging in a creative hobby. Learning something new, reading, a documentary, an online course. Connecting with someone, calling a friend or family member. Mindfulness or meditation, see next point. Practice mindfulness and urge surfing. While not explicitly Stoic in origin, mindfulness aligns perfectly with Stoic attention, prosoc. Urge surfing is a technique where you mindfully ride the wave of the craving, observing it rise, peak, and eventually fall without acting on it. This teaches you that urges are temporary and survivable, building a supportive environment and lifestyle. While Stoicism emphasizes inner control, creating an external environment that supports your goals is also a wise and practical step, fully compatible with Stoic prudence. Identify and manage triggers. Pay attention to what situations, times of day, emotional states, or even types of content, if applicable, trigger your urges. Once identified, you can strategize. If possible, avoid known triggers, especially in the early stages. Alter if you can't avoid a trigger, e.g., stress at work. Change your response pattern. Have a plan for how you'll deal with that stress constructively. Digital hygiene. If online content is a factor, use website blockers, set time limits, or curate your feeds to reduce exposure to triggers. This is not a sign of weakness, but a sensible way to support your hegemoniken, your ruling faculty. Cultivate healthy habits. A strong mind benefits from a healthy body and routine. Sleep. Prioritize consistent, quality sleep. Fatigue weakens resolve. Nutrition. A balanced diet can impact mood and energy levels. Exercise. Regular physical activity is a powerful stress reliever and mood booster. It also provides a healthy outlet for physical energy. Seek connection, not isolation. Compulsive behaviors often thrive in isolation. While Stoics valued self-sufficiency, they were not hermits. They understood the importance of community and wise companionship. Confide in a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or support group. Sharing your struggle can reduce shame and provide accountability. Focus on building genuine, meaningful relationships that provide emotional support and fulfillment. Replace the void with purpose. Often, compulsive behaviors fill a void, a lack of meaning, purpose, or engagement. Actively pursue goals and activities that you find genuinely meaningful. This could be related to your career, learning, creativity, spirituality, or service to others. When your life is rich with purpose, the allure of fleeting, empty pleasures diminishes. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about his duty and purpose. The journey, patience, persistence, and self-compassion. Overcoming any ingrained compulsive behavior is a journey, not an overnight transformation. There will likely be challenges, setbacks, and moments when you stumble. This is where Stoic perseverance, carteria or hupomone, and self-compassion are crucial. Expect setbacks. If you slip up, do not view it as total failure. The Stoic approach is not about perfection, but about consistent effort and getting back up. Analyze what happened, learn from it, as per the evening review, and recommit to your principles. Avoid harsh self-criticism. Shame and self-flagellation are counterproductive. They don't motivate. They demotivate and can even trigger the very behavior you're trying to avoid. Treat yourself with the same understanding and encouragement you would offer a good friend struggling with a similar challenge. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. Extend that kindness to yourself. Focus on progress, not perfection. Celebrate small victories. Every urge resisted, every conscious choice made in alignment with your values is progress. This is training. View this process as mental and character training. Like an athlete training for a marathon, you are building strength, endurance, and skill over time. Some days will be harder than others. Patience. Rewiring neurological pathways and ingrained habits takes time. Be patient with the process and with yourself. The Stoics understood that cultivating virtue is a lifelong endeavor. Remember the words of Epictetus, "No great thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a figure. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." Your journey towards self-mastery is like tending to that fig tree. Your path to freedom and a life of virtue. We've covered a lot today, from the neuroscience of compulsion to the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and practical strategies for change. The path away from compulsive masturbation is a path towards reclaiming your mental energy, your focus, your time, and your self-respect. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values and living a life of purpose and inner tranquility. The Stoics taught that true freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want. True freedom is internal, freedom from being enslaved by irrational desires, freedom from disturbing emotions, freedom to choose rationally and live virtuously regardless of external circumstances or internal urges. This journey is yours to take. The tools are available. The strength lies within your own capacity for reason and choice. Embrace this challenge as an opportunity to forge a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. Choose purpose over fleeting pleasure. Choose self-mastery over compulsion. Choose to live a life guided by your highest ideals. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. I wish you courage, perseverance, and profound peace on your path forward.